Hello and welcome. In this video, we will explore the hidden signs that surround you every single day, signs you likely ignore without realizing it. This is not a video about superstition or fantasy. It's about awakening to the subtle, symbolic communication of the universe. Every moment is filled with clues, nudges, and patterns trying to get your attention. Most people miss them not because they aren't there, but because they've been conditioned to ignore them. We live in a world obsessed with noise, logic, and productivity. Yet, beneath all that chaos, there's a quiet whisper trying to guide you. These signs are not accidents. They are part of a deeper order. Once you start noticing them, you'll begin to realize just how connected everything is. You'll understand that reality isn't random. It's a language, and everything has meaning. This video will take you through 8 powerful ways the universe communicates with you. Through synchronicity, numbers, patterns, dreams, emotions, people, silence, and your own intuition. In each part, we'll explore not only what these signs are, but why they appear, how you can recognize them, and what to do when they show up in your life. Most importantly, we'll learn how to live in harmony with them, transforming your everyday experiences into messages of guidance, affirmation, and awareness. Your journey begins with presence. The simple act of paying attention transforms the mundane into the mystical. Whether you're walking down the street, scrolling your phone, or sitting alone with your thoughts, signs are being sent. A song that randomly plays, a phrase that repeats, a person you keep bumping into. None of this is meaningless. These are signals, echoes from your subconscious, or even higher guidance trying to reach you. But there's one crucial thing you must do. Listen, and not just with your ears, but with your awareness. Most people ask for answers, but ignore the response. They pray for signs, but miss them when they come. Why? Because they expect fireworks, not whispers. Real signs don't always scream. They are soft, symbolic, and tailored specifically to your journey. They speak your personal language of meaning, emotion, and experience. The more you tune in, the more fluent you become in this mysterious dialogue. This video is not about giving you a checklist of signs to watch for. It's about teaching you how to recognize your own unique symbols, to develop your intuitive literacy, and to trust the quiet voice that lives beneath the noise of your everyday life. We'll challenge your perception of coincidence, explore the hidden messages in repeated events, and uncover the emotional clues your inner self sends through the fabric of your experience. This is the forgotten language of the soul, and once you remember how to read it, you'll realize that your life has always been speaking to you. The question is, are you ready to understand what it's been saying all along? Have you ever experienced a moment that felt too perfectly timed to be random? Maybe you were thinking about someone and they suddenly called, or you stumbled upon a book that answered a question you hadn't said out loud. These moments are not accidents, they're synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that defy logic, yet speak to a deeper connection between your inner world and outer experience. Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity to describe these strange alignments, where events that appear unrelated are bound together by significance rather than cause and effect. The universe doesn't always use words. Sometimes it speaks through timing. You may dismiss these moments as flukes, but what if they're actually the universe answering you, guiding you, showing you that you are not alone in your journey? Synchronicity is often subtle. It might be the same symbol showing up in dreams, conversations, and signs on the street. It might be hearing a word or phrase repeated by different people in the same day. It might be seeing the same number pattern on the clock, the receipt, the license plate in front of you. When it happens once, you shrug it off. When it happens twice, you notice. When it happens 3 times or more, it demands your attention. The key is not just to see the pattern, but to feel the meaning. Synchronicity always carries an emotional charge, a feeling of recognition, déjà vu, or quiet awe. That feeling is your sign. It's the bridge between your conscious mind and something greater. These moments don't have to be dramatic. Sometimes they're quiet confirmations, a reminder to trust your gut, a message that you're on the right path, a signal that change is coming. And yes, sometimes they're warnings, urging you to slow down, shift direction, or face something you've been avoiding. The more open you are to synchronicity, the more frequently it appears. It's as if the universe tests your awareness. Once it sees you're paying attention, the messages multiply. It's like tuning into a hidden frequency that was always there, just waiting for you to adjust your dial. But you must stay present. You must believe that your experience holds meaning. Dismissing synchronicities closes the channel. Honoring them opens the flow. When you stop asking, "Is this real?" and start asking, "What is this telling me?" you step into alignment with a larger intelligence. Synchronicity isn't just about noticing. It's about learning the language of resonance. It's about recognizing that the universe is a mirror, reflecting your energy, thoughts, and intentions. And in that reflection, if you look closely, you'll see the roadmap to your next step. Repeating numbers are not just quirks of your perception or tricks of your brain. They are symbolic frequencies, universal markers used to communicate with you through the structure of reality. If you've ever glanced at a clock and noticed 11:11, 3:33, or 4:44 repeatedly, then you've already encountered the language of numbers. These are called angel numbers or divine codes by some, but at their core, they are consistent vibrational patterns that reflect what is happening in your energetic field. Every number has a frequency and a meaning. The universe speaks in patterns because patterns are the architecture of everything. From the spirals in nature, to the beats in music, to the laws of physics, everything is governed by mathematics. So it's no surprise that when you are being guided, warned, or nudged toward an awakening, numbers are one of the most direct ways the universe sends a message. Seeing the same number sequence over and over is not a coincidence, it's a mirror, a signal that you're in alignment with something significant or that something important is about to shift. Each sequence carries its own vibration. 111 is about new beginnings and alignment. 222 speaks of balance and partnerships. 333 represents support from higher forces. 444 signals protection and stability. The meanings vary depending on tradition, but the common thread is always awareness. When you notice, you activate the message. When you acknowledge the message, you open the door to further guidance. Numbers can also show up outside clocks and receipts. They can be in addresses, phone numbers, even dreams. The key is the repetition and the timing. When a number appears during a moment of thought, decision, or doubt, it's likely tied to what you're feeling or choosing in that instant. That's when you pause, reflect, and ask, "What is this trying to tell me?" Don't rush to Google every number you see. Instead, tune into what was happening when it showed up. Your personal context matters more than any dictionary of meanings. Maybe you're about to make a big decision and keep seeing 555. That's the vibration of change. Maybe you feel lost and see 777. That's spiritual alignment. The universe customizes its messages to your emotional state and soul journey. And sometimes numbers aren't warnings or confirmations. They're just gentle reminders that you are not alone, that something out there is aware of you, communicating with you, guiding you through the maze of experience using the oldest language there is, math. The more you respect the numbers, the more they show up. The more they show up, the more you'll realize they're not separate from you. They are reflections of you. Watch your life shift as you begin to notice the divine intelligence coded into the everyday sequences around you. Have you noticed that the same type of situation keeps happening to you? The same kinds of people enter your life, the same challenges reappear, or you face the same emotional struggle again and again. This is not bad luck. This is the universe showing you a pattern. Patterns are the curriculum of your soul. When something repeats in your life, it's a sign that there is a lesson unlearned, a truth unacknowledged, or a healing unresolved. Patterns are your personal echo from the universe, a reflection of your thoughts, beliefs, and unresolved emotions. They form from your inner vibration and manifest outwardly in your experience. Until the message is understood, the pattern will continue. Most people either blame others or blame themselves, never realizing that what they are experiencing is feedback, not punishment. When you recognize a pattern, you begin to reclaim your power. Awareness transforms repetition into revelation. A toxic relationship that keeps repeating isn't just misfortune, it's an invitation to explore your boundaries, your self-worth, and the energy you're projecting. A recurring failure isn't just about circumstances, it's a mirror of internal resistance or limiting beliefs. Life repeats what you don't resolve, but once you face the pattern, ask the right questions, and make a conscious choice, the cycle can break. The pattern ends when the lesson is learned. The universe is persistent, but not cruel. It's trying to help you evolve. The same lesson will come in different disguises until you finally see it. Recognizing patterns in your relationships, jobs, emotions, or even dreams allows you to step out of victimhood and into self-mastery. It allows you to stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this showing me?" That shift changes everything. Patterns are sacred geometry at play in your life, fractal repetitions that guide you inward. Honor them, decode them, and you will see that your life is not random, but an intelligent sequence designed to awaken you. Dreams are the night's way of speaking when the day has silenced your soul. When your mind sleeps, your spirit awakens, and in that hidden world behind your eyelids, messages begin to form. Dreams are not random. They are coded stories, symbols, and metaphors that reflect your deepest fears, hopes, and truths. They are the shadows whispering truths you refuse to hear in daylight. While the rational world dismisses dreams as meaningless noise, ancient cultures saw them as sacred gateways, a direct link between the conscious self and the divine. And they were right. Dreams bypass your ego. They don't need your permission to tell the truth. That's why they can feel strange, surreal, or uncomfortable. They show you what you avoid. They repeat what you repress. They reveal what you already know deep down, but aren't ready to face. And if you pay attention, they will guide you. You may dream of running, but never arriving. That's your anxiety about progress. You may dream of flying, your yearning for freedom. You may dream of being chased, your unresolved fear. These images are not literal, they are symbolic. The language of dreams is poetic, not precise. It speaks in archetypes, sensations, and emotion. That's why two people can have the same dream, but the meaning is never the same. The dream is always about you, your symbols, your story, your state of being. Recording your dreams, reflecting on their patterns, and feeling their emotional resonance can unlock the messages they contain. Over time, you begin to notice the repetition, the places, people, situations that cycle again and again in different forms. These are not just dreams, they are messages, rehearsals for waking life, previews of your subconscious in motion. Sometimes they're healing, sometimes they're warnings, sometimes they're echoes from your past or visions of what's coming, and sometimes they're visits, moments when something greater speaks through the veil. The more you respect your dreams, the more they speak. If you ignore them, they fade. But if you meet them with curiosity, they open. Dreams are the hidden side of your inner compass. They show what your logic won't admit. They remember what you've forgotten. They break time, bend space, and dissolve illusion, because their purpose is not to entertain, but to awaken. Don't just dream. Learn to read the dream. Ask, what am I feeling in this moment? What is this scene trying to show me about myself? Why does this symbol appear now? When you start listening, you begin to receive. Your soul speaks in sleep. The question is, are you listening while you dream? Emotions are not flaws in your design. They are signals, sacred instruments of perception more ancient than words. You were taught to control them, to suppress them, to be strong by being silent. But emotions don't vanish when ignored. They retreat into shadows and become ghosts that haunt your decisions. Every emotion is a message, not a command, but a clue. Anger shows you where a boundary has been crossed. Sadness tells you what mattered. Joy reveals what aligns. Anxiety points to a part of you that doesn't feel safe. You suffer not because you feel, but because you resist feeling. Pain intensifies when you try to escape it, but when you face it, truly face it, it begins to speak. The problem is not the emotion, the problem is your relationship to it. Most people run from their feelings like prey from a predator, but emotions don't want to harm you, they want to inform you. They are not interruptions of logic, they are the foundation of your intuition. Thought may analyze, but emotion reveals. It cuts through the noise, it knows before you know. The heart speaks before the mind processes, and it is almost always right. You think you are a thinking being that sometimes feels, but in truth, you are a feeling being that sometimes thinks. Your emotions are the compass that navigates your inner landscape, but like any compass, they must be read carefully. Not every spike of emotion means act. Some emotions are echoes of the past, some are waves from other people, some are internalized beliefs disguised as truth, but all deserve attention. Awareness is the only requirement. When you feel something, don't judge it, observe it, ask, what is this emotion here to tell me? What triggered it? Where in my body do I feel it? When did I first feel something like this? Most people live their whole lives ruled by unconscious emotions. reacting, defending, escaping. But to master your life, you must master your inner weather. You don't need to control the storm. You only need to become still enough to see what it's pointing to. Emotions are not problems to be solved. They are waves to be surfed, teachers to be heard. The deeper your emotional fluency, the more clearly you see the world, because reality is filtered through the lens of how you feel. You can't perceive truth while drowning in suppressed rage. You can't receive clarity when numb from avoidance. Healing begins when you stop pushing your emotions away and instead sit with them, honestly, openly, without fear. In that stillness, they change. What was once unbearable becomes bearable. What was once noise becomes music. Feelings transform when they are seen. They evolve when they are honored. And in that process, you begin to change too. Not by force, but by understanding. Not by domination, but by harmony. Emotions are not weakness. They are the compass of your soul. And when you follow that compass, it leads you not away from logic, but into a deeper, more honest truth. Memory is not a recording, it is a rewriting. Every time you remember, you edit. Every recollection is filtered through the person you are now, not the person you were then. And yet, you build your identity upon these fragments. You say, I am who I remember being, but you are not your past. You are your attachment to a particular version of it. Memory is not the truth, it is a story. A story shaped by emotion, by meaning, by repetition. Some moments you relive daily, some you bury so deep you forget they ever happened. But forgetting is not erasing. The body remembers what the mind disowns. That's why a smell, a sound, or a glance can collapse time. Suddenly, you are there again, in that room, with that voice, feeling what you thought you outgrew. You didn't outgrow it, you only shelved it. The past does not stay in the past. It echoes through every choice you make, every fear you avoid, every love you sabotage. You think you are choosing freely, but often you are only repeating, reacting, replaying the unresolved. Until you see the pattern, it owns you. Until you question the memory, it defines you. Most people are haunted by memories they don't understand. They blame themselves for wounds they didn't cause. They identify with shame that never belonged to them. But memory is not fixed. It is alive. And that is your power, because if memory can change, so can you. The story can be rewritten. Not denied, not erased, but reframed, transformed. The meaning is yours to redefine. You are not the child who was abandoned. You are the adult who survived. You are not the mistake you once made. You are the lesson you now carry. Memory is a mirror, but the reflection shifts with light, and you are the light. When you bring awareness to your memories, when you hold them in the warmth of presence without judgment, they soften. They stop controlling you. They become threads in a larger tapestry, not the whole design. You do not have to be loyal to pain. You do not have to keep telling the same story just because it's familiar. You can choose a new one that honors the truth but not the wound, one that sees the past not as a prison but as a path. You don't heal by forgetting. You heal by remembering differently, by seeing yourself not as the victim of your memories but as their author. You are not bound to the narrative you inherited. You are free to write your own. You think fear stops you, but more often it is resistance. Quiet, subtle, disguised as logic, as caution, as timing. Resistance wears many masks. It whispers, not now. I'm not ready. Maybe later. It doesn't shout. It delays. And every delay drains your life of its urgency. Resistance isn't the enemy of action. It is the shadow of it. The closer you move to your truth, the louder it grows. Not because the truth is wrong, but because it threatens the structures you've built to survive. You were conditioned to conform, to seek safety in the known, to fear uncertainty more than stagnation. But the soul does not bloom in still water. It stirs when challenged, when questioned, when broken open. Resistance is not just hesitation. It is the body saying, I don't feel safe. The mind saying, I'm afraid of who I'll become if I change. Because transformation is a death, the death of who you were. And the mind fears death more than failure. So it clings to identities, to habits, to wounds. It tells you, stay where it hurts, it's familiar. But you are not meant to live inside your past pain. You are meant to outgrow it. Resistance is not a wall, it's a mirror. It shows you where your deepest desires live, hidden beneath fear. The place you resist the most is often the place your freedom begins, and yet you run from it. You distract, procrastinate, rationalize. You call it self-care, but sometimes it's just avoidance in disguise. Real self-care is choosing growth over comfort, discipline over impulse, truth over illusion. But resistance doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to remain predictable, small, manageable. And so it feeds you stories about your limits, your flaws, your unworthiness. You believe them because you've heard them for so long. But just because a thought is familiar doesn't mean it's true. Resistance thrives on repetition. Awareness disrupts it. The moment you see resistance not as a barrier but as a signal, everything changes. It no longer stops you. It guides you. It becomes a compass pointing toward the place you've been afraid to go. And that is always where your power is. You overcome resistance not by force, but by presence. By noticing it, naming it, and moving anyway. Not with violence, but with courage. Not to defeat it, but to dissolve it. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to stop letting resistance make your decisions. Because every time you choose to act despite it, you shrink its voice. You reclaim a piece of yourself. Until one day resistance no longer feels like an enemy, but like a teacher, and you are no longer a prisoner of hesitation, but a master of choice. You search for answers in noise, in voices, in screens, in endless scrolling. But what you seek doesn't live there. Truth does not scream. It waits in silence. Beneath the surface, beneath the performance, beneath the mind's frantic narration, silence is not emptiness. It is fullness without distraction. It is not the absence of sound, but the presence of being. And in that being, the real you emerges. Not the one reacting, not the one pretending, but the one simply witnessing. You've been taught to fear silence, to fill it, cover it, escape it. Because in silence there is no mask to hide behind. Just you and what's real. In silence, the ego begins to dissolve. The noise it uses to define itself, its stories, identities, insecurities, fades. And what remains is the awareness that watches it all. That awareness is not your thoughts. It is the space that holds them. The vast stillness in which all things appear and disappear. In silence, the illusion of control fades. The compulsion to fix, to chase, to prove dissolves. You become receptive, not reactive, and in that receptivity, you meet life as it is. You listen, not just to sounds, but to what breathes beneath them, the intelligence in stillness, the pulse of the present moment. Most people never truly experience silence. They experience quiet, filled with internal noise, but real silence is total. It swallows even thought, and what's left is not a void, but a presence so complete, it needs nothing. In that presence, healing begins, because silence does not judge, it does not push or pull, it simply allows, and what is allowed softens. What is seen without resistance transforms. You spend your life searching for yourself in motion, in progress, in becoming, but you were always here, waiting, watching, silent. The noise was never you. The rush was never you. You are the one beneath it all, the one who sees, the one who knows, the one who waits without waiting. Silence is your origin, your nature, your home, and the more you return to it, the less the world can shake you, because you are no longer caught in the storm. You are the sky that holds it. You don't need to retreat to mountains or monasteries to find silence. You only need to turn inward, close your eyes, breathe, listen, and there you will find yourself. Not the self you think you are, the self you truly are, eternal, unmoving, aware. You chase awakening as if it's a distant goal, a mountaintop far away, a prize earned through struggle. But awakening is not a destination, it is a recognition, a sudden seeing of what has always been. You do not become awake. You realize you were never truly asleep. The sleep was the illusion, the trance of thought, of identity, of fear. But even as the dream unfolded, something watched, something new. That watcher, that still, silent observer, was never asleep. It saw through your forgetting, through every mask, through every lie. It is not bound by time, not touched by emotion. It is not improved or diminished by experience. It simply is, and in the moment you stop striving, stop reaching, and simply look, truly look, you find it. Not out there, not in concepts, but here, beneath the noise. The ego will ask, how do I awaken? But the very question implies separation. There is no I that awakens. There is only awakening, and the illusion of I falls away within it. You are not the one who awakens. You are what awakening reveals. The spaciousness, the presence, the unmoving witness. And when you see from that place, everything changes and nothing changes. The world still moves, but you are no longer moved by it. The story still unfolds, but you are no longer lost in it. Thoughts come, but they are like clouds drifting across the open sky. You do not cling, you do not push, you remain. And in that remaining, in that simple being, there is peace beyond all seeking. Awakening is not dramatic. It is not fireworks or angels descending. It is quiet, ordinary, simple. But in that simplicity is the most profound transformation. The end of suffering, the end of chasing, the end of becoming, because what you are does not need to become. It already is, and it always was. You wandered the world searching for truth, and at the end of all roads you arrived at yourself. Not the self of memory or story, but the self of pure presence. No name, no form, just being, just awareness, just now. This is it, not later, not tomorrow, now, and it always was. So rest, not because you are tired, but because there is nowhere left to go. You are home, and you were never not.